Welcome to Browns All Access with Hugh Jackson, Nathan Zegura, alongside Browns legend Bernie Kosar. And Bernie, last Sunday against the Chargers as the Browns lose 38-14. Didn't go the way any of us wanted to. What went wrong in that game?
Well, no doubt about it, the game not materializing the way we anticipated, especially coming after a big Baltimore win, a big division win. But coming away with a loss that way made it even more disappointing.
You've got to execute, and for the Browns, they will be a little short-handed this week as the injury bug has struck this team. Browns linebacker Joe Schobert goes down with an injury. He's been an Iron Man for this team. That's a big loss.
The quarterback of the defense, the play caller of the defense, sadly, that is unfortunately a loss for the team. With Kirksey moving inside, a captain of our team, I think his leadership skills are at the top level also. So that, I think from a leadership perspective, that won't be an issue. But from an actual execution perspective and a communication perspective, I think the first quarter will be a telltale sign as to see how it evolves.
Absolutely. Joe Schobert plays a huge role on this defense for Greg Williams. He's been the team's leading tackler. And just last week, he had a sack against the Chargers before suffering that injury. We'll look at that and other plays in our film breakdown, brought to you by Papa John's. All right, Coach, let's take a look at a couple of the plays from last week. We'll start with this one. Pre-snap, what are you guys showing and what are the Chargers showing you with this empty set?
Well, obviously, we're showing them a much different personnel look. I think when you look at this, we have 6 DBs in the game. We have Joe Schobert, though, who's playing really a different position than he normally does. He comes back in the box. He was playing outside. He recognizes that the running back is down low, so he has him man-to-man, but he has a chance to add on as well. So once he sees the running back block, that's his key to keep adding on. And so he was able to add on here and obviously make a tremendous play in getting a sack of Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, along with Larry Ogunjobi there. And that's, with a guy like Joe Schobert in his second year, picking those little things up because he's got him in man as soon as he sees he doesn't go out, saying, let's go get the quarterback, and he does it.
Absolutely. As I said, when you look at this is a different look for the defense. They're trying to figure out, as you can see the quarterback, as he talks to the line, they're trying to sort out what is Avery really, okay? And then where is Schobert, and then what is Kirko over here? And then obviously, all of a sudden, we come back in the box with Schobert. He's able to, like I said, diagnose that the running back is definitely trying to block. The running back's trying to help with Myles Garrett here. And so as he sees this, he just adds right on, keeps coming. Him and Larry, they make a great play.
And a great play, and he's going to obviously be tough to replace this week. Joe Schobert and Christian Kirksey, who got an interception late in that game, will step up. Now, as we go along here, we'll take a look at an offensive highlight late in the game. And I know that at this point, the score wasn't what we wanted it to be, but how important is it to get these kind of plays and to build confidence?
I think it's always important to keep playing. That's something we've always taken pride in here. When things are not going well, we can't worry about that. We got to keep playing, because we got to build on something as we keep moving forward. And for David in this situation, I thought was important. We've tried this play with him several times in his career a year ago, and we wasn't able to make the connection. And here it is, the first opportunity that he's doing it here in 2018, ends up as a touchdown. I think that is really, really good for his confidence, really good for the confidence of our offensive team, and really good confidence for the play caller, because I think now we know that he can make those plays.
Yeah, and he's a guy who can help you down the seam, but also showing he can help you in the red zone as well.
Absolutely.
Now, Bernie, that touchdown, it came when the game was out of reach, but is that kind of positive momentum-building drive something that they can carry over after what was a disappointing performance on Sunday?
It absolutely can be a positive thing to carry over. To be able to get a little bit of positiveness, a little bit of success, albeit at the end of the game in a blowout, I do think it helps in the way of getting ready for this week in the preparation, getting ready to go down to Tampa.
Yeah, and it was good to see. It was all young guys. It was Baker to David Njoku, and we'll learn more about him later on in the show. And then the 2-point conversion, Baker found Antonio Callaway for a tough catch, and you hope all these young players can build upon that as we take a trip down to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers in a much more favorable matchup. We'll be back with more Browns All Access with Hugh Jackson right after this. After the break, Damarious Randall tells us about his childhood big league dreams, and David Njoku sits down and talks with Andrew Gribble. Welcome back to Browns All Access with Hugh Jackson, Nathan Zegura, alongside Browns legend Bernie Kosar. And Bernie, as a quarterback, one thing you probably always hated was a ball-hawking free safety, and the Browns have one in Damarious Randall, one of only 5 players in the NFL with 3 interceptions each of the last 3 seasons. He's been a big addition to this defense.
You know, much has been said about the trade of Randall coming over from Green Bay in the offseason for Kosar. At Arizona State, Randall played weak safety most of his career. In Green Bay, out of necessity, played more cornerback. Yep. Now here in Cleveland, back to his natural position at weak safety, you could see that he's really flourishing in that. And I think, albeit the days at cornerback with Green Bay didn't go too well, I do think it helped his coverage skills and his hand skills, because it's not an accident when you have that type of consistency, having interceptions, multiple interceptions over multiple seasons in the NFL.
Absolutely. And Randall, what I remember when we traded for him, I spoke with him. He was thrilled to be going back to his natural position, free safety, where he played in college at Arizona State. So well that he was a first-round pick in the NFL draft. Now, it's time for our player personality feature on Damarious Randall, brought to you by Fifth Third Bank.
1st and 10 at their 49. Back is Carr. He's throwing long for Bryant. Bryant up, and it is intercepted. And the Browns, Damarious Randall with a big pick.
I'm the baby of 8 kids. Grew up kind of in a baseball-based family. Brother used to play for the Kansas City Royals, and for the most part, I mean, I actually thought if I had any chance of being a professional athlete, I thought it was going to be baseball, and I actually chose baseball in college. I actually signed at Butler Community College, and I ended up hurting my shoulder, and my shoulder just never did heal to the point where I felt comfortable doing the things I used to do with the baseball, and I almost kind of fell out of love with baseball, and then at that time, I was back home living with my mom and dad on the couch, like, gotta listen to them hollering at me about taking out the trash and this and that. So I ended up, like, going to talk to the guys at the military, and I ended up taking the test, and I was about to go in the military. They actually drove us down up in the Greyhound bus to Birmingham from Pensacola, Florida. And I'm sitting down while everybody getting their name called, like going in there, picking their jobs, signing their paper, getting sworn in. And I'm just sitting there like in a daze. Like, I would never forget it, thinking like, how can I ever tell my kids that I was good up in sports? Like, if I never really played it really past high school. And then I went in there and asked the guy, I was like, do I have to do this? And he was like, no. Like, it is your choice. Like, I mean, that you can make a choice to either do it now or not. And I was like, well, I want to wait. And then that's whenever I came back home and I had like a real deep thought with myself. And I started sending my film out to like a bunch of colleges. And Ryan Felker from Mesa Community College called me. And he was like, I have a spot for you. Like, you look like an amazing athlete. Like, I like what I see. You can really help this team win. And like, I was surprised, like, cause those were the first words she said to me, and I was like, huh? Like, I would be here, period. Like, that it was no more questions asked. Honestly, I had no intentions on going Division I. I was just happy to be playing football and just happy to be doing something. And I was just in a zone, like, for literally a whole season. And like, I ended up with like 10 interceptions. Had like 7 or 8 touchdowns up on the season. And like, before you know it, it was like college after college just calling, like just coming up to the school. And ultimately, I ended up choosing Arizona State over numerous of colleges after I went on visits and stuff. But I mean, literally, I went from laying on my mom's couch to a first-round draft pick. And it's like, it seemed like this wasn't even supposed to happen to me.
Intercepted by Damarious Randall.
It's just mind-boggling to even get my mind behind the things that I had to overcome to even be where I am today. The only thing that I would tell anybody that have any doubt, to just put your mind to it, and that you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. Because I feel like people never, ever gave me a chance to be where I am today. And obviously, ain't nobody giving us a chance. Like, we're gonna have to go take it.
Damarious Randall has the ball, and he picks it up at the 46, and it's the Browns' ball.
Well, how about that? Bernie learned something new about Damarious Randall, chose football over baseball, a decision you were once faced with.
Well, I think that Damarious Randall is absolutely happy that he made the right decision. I'm not regretting the decision I made, and football's been really fantastic for myself and my family, and I think Randall's enjoying the fruits of his labor too, and the fruits of his decision.
I got to tell you, there'd be a lot of sad people in Cleveland had you decided to play baseball and not football, so thank you for making that decision to be a quarterback in the NFL. Time now to get the latest in the world of Browns social media. It's the Social Minute with Allie, brought to you by Giant Eagle.
What's up? I'm Allie Raymond, and this is a very special edition of the Browns Social Minute where we're featuring an avid fan on social media. This fan is Paul Brown, and not the Paul Brown you're thinking of, at @PaulBrown_UK. Paul is a native of London, England, and is a very avid fan of the Browns and shows it on his social media accounts. He posts Browns podcasts and posts videos almost daily from across the pond. Last week, Paul traveled all the way from London to Cleveland to catch the Browns taking on the Chargers in person at First Energy Stadium, and he made sure to document all of his journey.
Are we ready to party? Here we go, parties, here we go.
We wanted to highlight Paul today because we have so much love for our Browns backers worldwide and all of you from across the world who tune in every Sunday to watch the Browns play. I'm Allie Raymond, and this has been your Social Minute.
Coming up next, Andrew Gribble sits down with tight end David Njoku, and head coach Hugh Jackson breaks down this week's matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Welcome back to Browns All Access with Hugh Jackson, Nathan Zegura. You know this man, Bernie Kosar. And Bernie, when you're a quarterback, you like to have those great receivers, but is there anything better than a big stud tight end who can high point the ball, make the tough catches, and stretch the seam?
No doubt about it. David Njoku and his athleticism is music to a quarterback's ears, and he's well coached here in Cleveland. There's no doubt about it. But coming from the U, the first time I saw him on the field in OTAs this year, I couldn't help myself and kind of had the flashback to the Jimmy Graham days when me and him were at the field doing releases, working inside the scoring zone, working inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard line on those kind of post-up fades. Jimmy Graham's made a career out of that. I believe David Njoku has even more athleticism and more abilities to make those type of plays on a consistent level.
Well, you look at the way he's elevated his game recently. 2 weeks ago, it was 2 passes to Njoku that set up the touchdown to Higgins. And then this past week, he high points the ball, does that post-up fade, and scores off the pass from Baker Mayfield. And to learn more about David Njoku, he sat down with our Sir Andrew Gribble.
I'm Andrew Gribble here with tight end David Njoku. And David, a tough one to swallow last week against the Chargers. What is the mindset of the team to move forward and bounce back from that kind of game?
We got to just focus on this upcoming week. You know, we play the Bucs at Tampa Bay, and we just got to focus and play this game. You know, this game is very important.
When you guys look back at the film, maybe the last couple weeks, what have been some of the issues with the offense, and how confident are you can get those fixed?
Well, obviously, we had some trouble moving the ball, you know, here and there, but I'm very confident that can be fixed. You know, all it really is you know, everyone doing their job, you know, consistently, and we should be fine. So we just got to go back to the drawing board and work hard.
Mayfield takes the snap, back, looks, lobs, right corner, Njoku caught it, touchdown. David Njoku, and he flips the ball to a fan in the dog pound.
You don't like it to get it in a losing effort, but you got in the end zone last week against the Chargers, went up to get the ball, high pointed it. How in your skill set is that kind of play, and how confident are you when that ball is in the air?
I was pretty confident that I was going to come down with it, but you know, when the ball is up like that, like a jump ball scenario, I have to just ensure that, you know, I'm consistent enough to come down with it more often than not, you know, for my team, for me, and for my coaches. So.
You guys have been dealing with a lot of injuries at the wide receiver position, a couple in this past week as well. How much does kind of the onus fall on the tight ends, running backs to kind of step up and help this offense keep moving?
It's on all of us, you know. It's on tight ends, running backs, and receivers, and the quarterback. You know, it's on all of us to ensure that we do our job, you know, which is score touchdowns, score points, score more points than the other team. We're focused on doing that, you know, this week and winning. So that's our main focus, is winning.
How much more confident are you as a blocker right now?
Than last year?
Yeah.
A lot more confident. I don't know if it shows, but I've definitely picked that up from last year. You know, I was struggling a little bit being a rookie tight end and playing tight end for like a year or two. You know, it wasn't really as easy. But I think you know, by our coaches, you know, Darren, Seth, they're helping me a lot, and I'm becoming better and better every single day, I believe.
Yeah, you got to be taking pride in that, especially with the way this team has run the ball. How key is that?
Very
what
important.
you do for
very
running the ball?
very important. You know, setting the edge, blocking those big DNs. You know, all that. It's very important. It all comes with the job.
Yeah, you guys have checked off a lot of boxes already this year, but still looking for that first road win. How big would that be to kind of get it in Tampa Bay and check another one off the list?
Huge, huge. You know, we treat every game that we play at the time as the most important game of the year. So this game is the most important game of the year right now, and we have to treat it as such and work hard towards this week.
Now, Bernie, there were some bright spots. David Njoku certainly amongst them last week, but too often this offense got the ball with good field position, got down near the end zone, but couldn't punch it in for a touchdown. What must they do better to finish these drives?
Well, again, the David Njoku series play comments, I think, are right on. And guys like that, being able to use talented weapons like that in crunch time, it's imperative to get that ball in the end zone as opposed to taking the 3 points. The running game obviously helps with that. And the offensive line, being able to get up and get into the Tampa Bay defense, like they did more against Baltimore, and really didn't have as much success against San Diego at the line of scrimmage, getting that push.
Absolutely. We need to see a better offensive performance, and you're going against the worst scoring defense, worst pass defense, really one of the worst defenses we've seen in a long time in the National Football League, and we'll preview the Browns matchup against the Buccaneers next on Browns All Access. How many takeaways had the Browns defense forced over their first 6 games of the 2018 season? Is the answer A, 7, B, 12, C, 15, or D, 16? Find out the answer when Browns All Access returns. How many takeaways had the Browns defense forced over their first 6 games of the season? Well, the answer is D, 16. The 16 turnovers this season puts the Browns atop the NFL rankings for takeaways and is the unit's most through the first 6 games of the season since 1989 when they had 19. Welcome back to Browns All Access with Hugh Jackson, Nathan Zegura, alongside Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar. And Bernie, if you were getting ready for this game, I know you'd be licking your chops with what we've seen from this Buccaneers defense. Most points allowed, most yards allowed, most highest completion percentage, highest quarterback rating. They have struggled to stop the pass. So I ask you, is it the offense's game to go out and win?
This is an offensive game from the perspective of me as an old quarterback, thinking of it from Baker's perspective as a young quarterback. You definitely get excited about seeing the glaring mistakes that the Tampa Bay defense fundamentally makes just in their pre-snap alignments, let alone their techniques post-snap. I think that it's imperative that we put the pressure on them early. Tampa Bay's having doubts about themselves, especially from the defensive perspective. Step on them early. Keep them thinking that they're a bad defense. Don't give them hope.
Now let's talk with the Browns head coach Hugh Jackson about what the team needs to do to bounce back in Tampa. All right, Coach, time now for our game preview, the Browns and the Bucks. And this Tampa Bay team, when you look at them, this is one of the most prolific passing offenses in NFL history, 3rd most passing yards in the history of the game through 5 games. How do you slow them down?
Well, obviously, you got to cover their guys, and we got to make sure that we get their quarterback off rhythm. You just said that they can throw the football. They have 16 touchdown passes to 1 rushing touchdown. So I think they pride themselves in their ability to throw the football. Obviously, it starts with their quarterback, Jameis Winston. He's completing 75% of his passes. We have to do everything we can to get him out of rhythm in order so he can't sit back there and make the throws that he's accustomed to making.
And he's got one of the best receiver tandems in the league. The big guy, Mike Evans, and then the little guy, Deshaun Jackson, both averaging about 100 yards a game, and Jackson averaging 24 yards per catch.
It's amazing. You know, Deshaun Jackson has always been feared in the National Football League because of his speed. and his ability to change directions very fast. And you see that on videotape, and that's the reason why he's averaging so many yards per reception. Then you look at Mike Evans, and he's always been one of the best receivers in the league because of his size and his speed and his strength and his ability to catch the football. So it's a tall, tall challenge for us, but again, we're looking forward to it.
A lot of talk this week about the offense getting off to slow starts in the first quarter. You know, what can you guys as a staff do to help that, and you know, how do you fix that and get off to a good start, especially against a defense that's been struggling like the Bucs, to the point where they fired their defensive coordinator this week?
I think it's something you work through every day. You know, I think it's a weekly process, something that starts as you start to put the plan together, as you go through the week, to and up through the game. You know, you have a pretty good feel on how you want to attack a team. I think Todd and the offensive staff have done a really good job this week of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and making sure the players understand exactly what's expected, play in and play out. And then we have to do everything we can not to hurt ourselves. We don't need any self-inflicted wounds, penalties, those type of things that would set us back.
Bernie, this is going to be a shootout. The Buccaneers, they'll give you the ball. They've thrown 9 interceptions in only 5 games. That's most in the league. But at the same time, they have the most passing yards per game, most passing touchdowns per game. So this is going to have to be a high-scoring affair if the Browns want to get out on top.
Every statistical analysis says just that. And given the NFL rules that play into more successful offense, more points from the offensive perspective, this absolutely looks like that would be the case this week. That being said, the NFL is a very interesting game, and I don't want to get past our defense. Our front four, if we can get Myles Garrett and our front four to get after Jameis Winston, and we're able to drop 7 guys in coverage, and we get that pressure that we got against Joe Flacco, I think that's one of the big keys for us in slowing down Tampa a little bit.
And hopefully the Browns will exploit that and get a win, getting back to 500 on the season. Remember, for the latest on your Cleveland Browns, keep it tuned to clevelandbrowns.com, the Browns mobile app, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget Kosar19.com for the latest on my man Bernie. For Bernie Kosar, Nathan Zegura saying thanks for watching another edition of Browns All Access with Hugh Jackson, and let's go Browns.